My head's in a spin all through Muto's class. I'm going to have dinner with Emi, who wants to be my girlfriend, no less. A date. And then she kissed me. That kiss, I keep going back to it, playing it over in my mind again and again. Everything about that moment felt so right. My mind drifts off, lost in thoughts of Emi. Nakai, hello. Seems like I've drifted a bit too far. Huh? What? Egad, you've contracted some kind of amnesia. Someone get the nurse. The class chuckles at Muto's antics. Sorry, sir. Won't happen again and all that, right? Exactly. Muto brightens considerably. Well, lovely to hear. I'd hate to have my star pupil slacking off after all. I've been doing well, but I hardly qualify as a star pupil, I think. I'm fairly certain that this class is the sort that everyone does well in. It's just memorizing formulas. True to my word, I managed to pay attention for the rest of the class. Nakai, may I have a word with you? I wonder if I'm in trouble for earlier. Sure. Am I in trouble? Muto looks genuinely confused for a moment. Beg your pardon? He tilts his head to one side and thinks for a moment. Oh, that. No, you're not in any sort of trouble. There's just a question that I want to ask you. What's that? Nothing terrible, I was just wondering what your plans for after graduation are. Are you going to university? Yeah, I guess. I can't really see a reason not to go. Given any thought to what you'll study? Not really, no. I figure I'll come up with something when I get there. Muto laughs. Taking things as they come, eh? I'd argue against it, but that's how I did things when I went to university. Well, not really. I knew I'd go into a science, I just wasn't sure which one. Ended up with physics, but could just as well have gone for astronomy or what have you. Actually, I did go for chemistry first, but they were all sorts of things. Muto trails off and frowns slightly. It takes a minute for him to recover his train of thought, and I wait patiently for him to continue. So anyway, I did a lot of physics as well, because I had an interest in that, but I wasn't sure if it was for me. So I went back to chemistry, and here we are, yes? He smiles at me enthusiastically, as if waiting for me to confirm that, yes, here is where we are. Somehow I get the feeling that Muto had a plan for this conversation, but I'll be damned if I can figure it out. I'm sorry, I'm not following you. Muto frowns and rubs his chin a bit, looking perplexed. He then snaps his fingers as if he's remembered what the point of all this was. Right, yes, you. Me? Yes, you should look into studying one of the sciences. You're fantastic at it. Unless you'd rather just go into math. Muto makes a sour face. Not a big fan of straight math. I always like the experiments more than the proofs. You're saying I should study science at university? Muto seems thrown off balance by my question. Well, sort of. You could also join the science club. Trouble is, there is not actually a science club. But there could be. You could even be a charter member. A founding father. Of course, you'd need to find other members. Well, only if you wanted to. We could just start it up with the two of us. And, I could give you things to read and we could talk about them. And I could help you get ready for university and such as well. Wait. Muto rummages around his briefcase and tosses me a book. Read that. If it's interesting, then we can talk about it. A Brief History of Time? I don't know if I actually want to read this, but Muto seems pretty excited about it. What's it about? Time, space, space-time, black holes and such. And it's not that dense, just to see if that sort of thing is interesting for you. You understand? Hang around after class and we can either discuss it or I can show you how to make explosives in the lab. He waves a hand at my quizzical expression. Joking, sorry. Still, I've kept you here long enough for now. Think about science as a career path, Nakai. I think you'd enjoy it. Okay, I will. Thank you for the book. I leave the classroom and look up at the clock. Quite a chunk of time to kill until Emi's out of practice. I guess I'll give this book a look. I should probably shower as well. Showering before a date's only proper, right? I head back to the dorms. I wonder where I'm supposed to meet Emi anyway. She said after practice, but she didn't say where I should find her. I take a quick shower, remembering to take my medication once I hop out. Now for a look at this book. I wake up with a start. Shit, what time is it? A glance at the clock reveals that I've been asleep for nearly an hour. Thank goodness. Emi's practice should be finishing up soon. I throw on some casual clothes and head for the track. Somehow I get the feeling we won't be doing anything fancy for dinner. Emi doesn't strike me as a very fancy sort of person. Still, I suppose there's a lot I have yet to know about Emi. Despite our newfound closeness, I still feel like I don't know her as well as I should. Ah well, I have lots of time to fix that. To be honest, I'm looking forward to getting to know her more. I'm so caught up in my own thoughts that I hardly register that I'm already at the track. Emi is nowhere to be found. I don't even see any signs of the track team. This could be embarrassing. I turn to head towards the girls' dormitory when I hear a shout. Hey, Hisao! I turn around to see Emi making a beeline for me with a gym bag slung over her shoulder. She's changed into some decidedly more casual clothing, a pair of shorts and an olive green top. Her running blades have been replaced by more realistic-looking legs that probably wouldn't fool anyone. Emi doesn't seem to care about that, a fact which makes me smile. Hey, you came. I mean, I figured you would, but still. I suddenly find myself wrapped in a rather affectionate hug, and it proves to be impossible for me to keep what must be the world's largest grin off my face. Well, of course I came. I'd be crazy not to, right? Emi ponders for a moment. You know, that's true. I mean, I am pretty amazing after all. I shrug in response. I certainly think so. It's an offhand remark, which is why I'm surprised to see that it seems to have caught Emi by surprise. She blushes and smiles warmly at me before planting a kiss on my lips. Now it's my turn to be surprised. Emi steps back, resting her weight on her back heel, looking pleased with herself. My brain fumbles for an appropriate response. I should compliment you more often. Emi laughs and gives me a playful shove. Jerk. I throw an arm around Emi's shoulders and am pleased when she immediately leans into me as if it were the most natural thing in the world. So, where to? I'm not actually sure. Where do people go on dates around here anyway? That is a damned good question. I've got no idea. Why don't we just head down to the Aura Mart and grab something portable? Emi's face brightens at this idea. A picnic! I think you're onto something, Hisao. Emi snakes her arm around my waist and we begin to head for the front gate. I'm entirely unsure of what I'm meant to do in this situation, but at least Emi seems to be equally clueless. Despite the relaxing feeling of being with Emi, I still can't help feeling a little tense. What if I do something wrong? I'd hate to make an ass out of myself. The trip to the Aura Mart is accompanied by Emi's chatter about how practice went. I keep quiet for the most part, merely enjoying the warmth of being around Emi. We get a few odd looks from passerby, but I don't mind. We wind up buying some bread and instant noodles, realizing too late that we cannot actually cook the latter in the park. Oh well, I'll make it for lunch or something. That'll work. The park is located after a brief loss of direction that I blame entirely on Emi. She, of course, blames me. We find a spot beneath a tree and sit down. I lean back against the trunk. Emi sits across from me. I guess we should have brought a blanket or something to sit on, huh? Emi shrugs. I don't mind. Neither do I. Emi tosses me a package of bread and we dig in. Curry bread. Interesting. I guess I wasn't really paying attention to what I grabbed in the store. Hey, Hisao, you look like your bread's a little spicy. I shake my head, trying in vain to keep an image of manliness. Nah, it's hardly spicy at all. I see. That must be why your face has gotten so red. Yes, exactly. The lack of spice has, gotten my blood up. Because of the disappointment. Emi laughs and swallows the last of her bread. Well, if you can't handle it, I'll be glad to take it off your hands. Hey, just because you wolfed down yours so quickly doesn't mean I'm just gonna give you mine. Emi mock pouts, causing me to nearly choke on my bread with laughter. Aw, come on, Hisao. Aren't you supposed to be concerned with making sure I've got enough to eat now? We're dating, you know. Oh. Emi looks troubled all of a sudden. I can't say I feel any difference. What do you mean by that? It's just what we would have done anyway, really. But this should feel different because before when we had lunch we were friends, and now we're a level above friends. You sound like Rin. Laughter escapes and Emi grins. Well, she might have put the thought into my mind. We've talked about that sort of thing before. Really? About me? Not really, just stuff, really. Rin thinks that the change of a label from friend to girlfriend seems arbitrary most of the time. Like there's no difference between the two. I can think of at least one, you know. You don't tend to kiss your friends quite as much. For the second time today, Emi blushes slightly and giggles. I suppose you're right. Exactly, I'm always right about things like this. Emi rolls her eyes and chuckles. Guess you're pretty smart, huh? I nod in agreement. Yep. Even Muto thinks so. He thinks I should go into some scientific study after graduation. Emi raises an eyebrow. Oh, really? Yeah, I'm thinking I actually might do just that. Really, the more I consider the idea, the more it appeals to me. I make a mental note to look into it a little more closely. So what are you thinking of doing after graduation? Still planning on running? Emi shrugs, seeming almost a bit hesitant. I don't know. If I'm good enough and I can find a team, I guess. You mean you aren't sure? I haven't really thought about it, to be honest. Really? You probably should, you know. Graduation isn't that far off. Emi fidgets a little nervously. Yeah, well, it's far enough, right? Besides, I've got other things to think about. There's a mischievous flash behind Emi's eyes, and I suddenly find myself gloriously pinned against the tree. Like making sure this is a real date, right? I mean, if we don't kiss, then it's not a date at all, right? I suppose... Strawberries and curry. Not the best combination, but I don't think I mind. Emi sits back on my legs and grins again. There, science would approve, right? I have the oddest mental image of Muto nodding seriously and making a mark on some checklist. I can't help laughing at the idea. Well, I'll admit, this is the first time I've ever witnessed a kiss being met with laughter. Should I feel offended? No. I'm sure science approves. Emi beams at me, and I find it increasingly difficult to keep my brain functioning properly. Oh, good. It's at this point that I notice that Emi has stolen the remainder of my curry bread while I was otherwise occupied with images of teachers wielding clipboards. Hey! Emi tries to look innocent, but considering she's just crammed the last bits of my bread into her mouth, it does not appear to be working. Or... Beef? A shrug from my companion is all I get in response. You used your feminine wiles on me. I wasn't that hungry anyway, but I still feel that the point needs to be made. Emi seems confused by the phrase feminine wiles, but the understanding dawns on her features after a moment's thought. Wasn't anything of the sort. You were laughing. Feminine wiles don't involve laughing. I guess I can't argue with this. That doesn't change your thievery. Emi laughs at my injured tone and gives me a playful shove. Fine, you can have the instant noodles. Are you kidding? That stuff's terrible. If anything, you should definitely eat it as punishment. Another laugh from the girl sitting on my legs, both of which have fallen asleep by now. I twitch one leg to try waking it up, which has the unintended effect of unbalancing Emi, who falls to the side with a startled eep. Whoops, sorry about that. Legs fell asleep on me. Emi remains on the ground, giggling. I stand up a little shakily, feeling the nerves in my legs return to normal. My eyes wander over the scenery before fixing on the figure of Emi, who is yet to get up. Her hair is splayed out around her head, her arms are spread, and laughter is bubbling up through her mouth. Everything about Emi seems condensed into this one image. Her energy, her spirit, and her childish giggling. The urge to lay down on the grass with her rises swiftly from the back of my mind to the forefront of my thoughts, and indeed I am convinced that I would love nothing more than to do just that. Unfortunately, the sun has set, and it's probably time for us to get back to the dormitories. While Emi may be happy to stay out here all night, I don't think I have that ability. Besides, homework soon beckons. It wouldn't make sense to start thinking about things like university and then slack off, would it? I extend a hand to Emi to help her up. We should probably get going. Emi makes a sour face. You're right. She grabs my proffered hand, and I pull her to her feet and into a hug. This time, I'm the one who kisses her, unable to resist having Emi against me. Seems a shame to leave, you know. Yeah, it does. But if we don't get back to the school soon, we'll probably get into trouble. Emi pokes me in the ribs playfully. And you need to do your homework, I'm sure. Sadly, you're absolutely right. I throw my arm around her shoulders, and we make the trek back to the school, accompanied by occasional bouts of laughter as our conversation jumps from subject to subject. Everything from running to school to the peculiar way that one of the cafeteria workers smells. All too soon, we find ourselves outside the girls' dormitory building. Well, I guess I'll be going then. I guess so, huh? Emi grins at me again with that mischievous look. Are you gonna be able to survive without me? I laugh. I'm sure I'll manage. How terrible. Aren't you supposed to say something like, I'll be counting the seconds you are away? Nah, I don't think so. Emi pulls me down in a quick goodbye kiss and steps back, looking unexpectedly shy. Thanks for dinner. I really had fun. Honestly, I did. So did I. I think we shall have to do it again sometime. Emi laughs at my deadpan delivery and nods. See you bright and early tomorrow morning, right? You've got to run off that bread, after all. Of course, despite the fact that you ate most of it. Yes, despite that. See you later, Hisao. As Emi turns to head inside, I notice something weird. Something so weird that I'm surprised I didn't notice it earlier. She's limping slightly, favoring the left leg. Hey, Emi. Is your leg okay? Emi looks confused, or at least fakes confusion. What are you talking about? Your right leg, you're limping. There's the briefest flash of concern on Emi's face. Either she didn't want me to know or she didn't think I'd notice, or I prefer to think she just didn't realize it. Oh, that. She shrugs casually. Must have gotten knocked a little out of alignment during the picnic. No idea what would have caused that, of course. I think back to being pinned under the tree. You should have told me. We could have stopped and fixed it, you know? Emi waves a hand airily. That's not that big of a deal. Don't worry about it, okay, Hisao? It's fine. Why do I get the feeling that she's convincing herself as well as me? Let it rest or press Emi. I'm good. Okay, so this... I appear to be locked into the Emi route, so I'm gonna save. Whoop. Okay, so I'm gonna press it in the interest of her well-being. Are you absolutely sure? You don't want to go ahead and adjust it before heading up the stairs? You could get hurt if you don't, right? I said it was fine, Hisao. Seriously, don't worry about it. I've got some experience in these matters, after all. Yeah, I suppose so. Emi grins reassuringly. Honestly, Hisao, I appreciate the concern, but I really am okay. Now, really, I need to get going. Your attempts to keep me around are doomed to fail. Of course. Just prolonging the goodbye, I suppose. Another grin lights up Emi's face. Good night, Hisao. Good night. As she limps inside, I find myself hoping she's okay despite her assurances that she's fine. I think I can call this a successful first date. Hell, any day that ends with Emi pinning me under a tree to kiss me can't be that bad, can it? I head back to my room, mentally thank the gods that Kenji doesn't ambush me in the hallway, and get started on my homework. Katawa Shoujo. The morning is far too early for my taste. It doesn't help that I had trouble sleeping last night. There were simply too many things to think about. My mind refused to slow down. Instead, I replayed the rooftop, the park, and everything else over and over in my mind. There's a small part of my mind that is still paranoid that this has all been some kind of joke. That I'll meet up with Emi at the track and she'll act like nothing happened yesterday. Pushing these thoughts to the back of my mind, I throw on my running clothes and open the door. Emi's waiting for me with her usual smile. You're late. Or at least, you're not early today. Are you tired or something? I find myself ruefully rubbing the back of my head. Something like that, yeah. Lots to think about and all that. Emi giggles at my mild understatement. Yeah, I didn't sleep that well either. I was actually glad you weren't early, because I wasn't early either. I wonder if the same thing kept us awake. The image of her weeping face passes through my mind. What kept you up? Emi's expression falters, but she quickly notices my curiosity and forces a smile. Nothing important. She's obviously not telling me something. The question is, should I press the issue? Something's clearly been bothering her for a while. I want to help her, but would it just come off as me being nosy? She's gotta know I care about her, though. Are you sure? If something is bothering you, I'm here to help you sort it out. Emi laughs then, but it's not her usual laugh. There's an edge to it that seems almost bitter. Sort it out? I'm not sure it can be sorted out, Hisao. An almost grim smile crosses her lips. It's like a smile of resignation. I don't think you could help me anyway. That hurts. I don't want to say that it hurts to her, but it does. Doesn't she realize I want to be there for her when things go wrong? Well, I won't push you on the matter, but I'm here for you if you decide later that you'd like to talk about it. It might help. I can see the debate raging behind Emi's eyes. It seems like she wants to tell me, but she's not sure whether or not she can. Hey, forget about it for now, okay? We've got running to do. The mention of running, something that she can handle, brings Emi back to her usual self. Right. Hurry up and stretch out, Hisao. We've got to get moving. She takes off like a shot, far quicker than I'm used to. Still, I try to keep pace with her, recklessly testing my limits. It gives me a feeling of freedom, like my heart is no longer important. I find myself wanting to laugh, filled with the feeling of moving beyond what I once called my boundaries. The nurse's warnings to not overdo things echo in my mind, and I disregard them. This feeling I have, this willingness to risk a heart attack for something so trivial as a morning run, feels out of character for me. But is it? Or rather, should it be? I've got a weak heart, sure. It'll never be capable of the kind of speed and endurance Emi is capable of. Though I probably wouldn't be able to get that good even if I had a healthy heart. As we round the final bend, I feel my legs screaming in protest, but for the first time I ignore them. I accelerate to finish at a sprint, nearly catching up to Emi. That was never going to happen, of course. Still, I feel surprisingly good. Oh, sure, my legs feel like they're about to catch fire, and I'm having trouble staying upright, but there's been a shift of some sort today. And it's all thanks to the girl grinning at the finish line, waiting for me. That felt a little faster than usual. My comment is met with a grin and a shrug. Can't have you think I was gonna go soft on you now, can I? But you managed to handle it just fine. Well, I couldn't have done it without you. Still feeling the high from the run and moved by a surge of gratitude, I seize Emi in a hug. Thanks. Really, I'm not just saying that. I'm in your debt. Emi seems flustered by my words, squirming uncomfortably. Don't be silly, Hisao. Someone had to haul you out here, didn't they? And it's not like you're not doing anything for me, right? I needed a running partner, remember? I shake my head, still pointedly not letting go of Emi, who stops squirming and merely looks up at me with a quickly deepening blush that almost seems out of character. No, that's not true. You wanted a running partner, but you didn't need one. If I hadn't shown up the day after the festival, you would still run, right? But it doesn't work the other way around. I only managed to make it out a few times before the festival. And without you, I probably wouldn't have made it out at all after that. Emi smiles at me and prods my chest with one finger. You are pretty lazy, Hisao. Hey, I was giving you a compliment. Well, you're welcome, I guess. I'll pay you back somehow. Oh, well... That's not necessary, you know? I mean, I kinda like you, Hisao. And being able to run with you in the mornings isn't exactly a bad deal for me either, so... For someone who gets so much praise, she seems unused to gratitude. I can't think of anything else to say, so we fall silent. I become aware of Emi's breathing, of the dampness of her clothing, and of the scent of her. Coming off of anyone else, it would stink. Coming off of Emi, it fits her in a way nothing else could. Her skin is cool, slick with sweat, and a breeze causes goosebumps to rise. Almost without thinking about it, I lean down and meet Emi's mouth, which is nearly moved to meet my own. Her lips are soft, and she hums happily as we kiss, sending vibrations from her mouth to mine. There's a startling rightness to everything about this moment. We fit one another perfectly. The kiss ends, and I finally let my arms drop back to my sides. Emi is smiling warmly at me and giggles again. Come on, Hisao, we'd better go see the nurse. Then it happens. As she turns to begin walking, she gives out a tiny yelp and stumbles forward. Emi! I leap to steady her and notice with some concern that she's favoring the same leg as last night. Your leg. Emi seems panicked and pushes away from me. It's fine. My expression must seem hurt because she hastens to apologize. Sorry. Didn't mean to push you like that. I was just... She stumbles for something to say. It's nothing, really. Hey, don't worry about it. She's so flustered I decide to shrug the whole thing off. But there's a cold feeling in the pit of my stomach now that won't go away. I tried to step in and help her, and she pushed me away. Smiling, I shove those thoughts to the back of my mind and concentrate on Emi. I just don't want you getting hurt, that's all. You don't have to worry about me, honest. I'm fine. Yes, you say that, but I don't believe you. Why won't you tell me what's wrong? It's like she gets offended by my trying to help. What am I supposed to make of that? I'm still trying to sort out what happened on the track as we arrive in front of the nurse's office. Emi raises her hand to knock, hesitates, and turns to me, smiling guiltily. Hey, can you do me a favor? Of course. Can you tell the nurse that I'll see him later? I just remembered that I've got some stuff to take care of before class. So I really need to get moving. I peer at her closely, and she fidgets under my stare. Yeah, she's clearly just avoiding the nurse. That leg of hers. Well, whatever. I said I'd help, and so I will. But I'll make damn sure she sees the nurse before the day is out. Yeah, okay, I'll let him know. Emi looks like I've just given her a pony on Christmas. Thank you so much. You're the best, Hisao. I am rewarded for my complicity in her lie by a kiss that makes it all worth it, or so I tell myself. As Emi heads out of the building, trying hard not to let her limp show, I knock on the door of the office. Ah, Hisao, come on in. I don't see Emi with you. She's not sick again, is she? From the tone of his voice, I don't think the nurse is expecting me to say yes, she's ill. She said that she'd forgotten to do something, and so she had to skip out, but she'll see you later today. The nurse heaves an exasperated sigh. Honestly, that girl... She's been avoiding me. Yesterday she was in and out of here without even taking off her prosthetics, and now this. Well, at least it's not just me. Emi doesn't want worrying. That's a comfort, I guess. Still, I feel like I should say something about her leg. I said I'd lie for her, but she really needs to see him. Now that you mention it, she was limping pretty badly today. And last night as well. The nurse's eyes narrow with the words, last night. And what exactly were you two doing last night? We were, on a date. The nurse raises his eyebrows as if surprised. Really? Interesting. Huh? Oh, nothing. His gaze turns thoughtful and then he grins at me. You don't think you could use some of that boyfriend charm to get her to come see me today, could you? Of course. I was planning on doing that anyway. I think she's really hurt and just pretending that she isn't. Yes, she does that. Afraid I'll make her stop running. Will you? I don't like to, but if it's bad enough that she's been limping, well... I guess I'll have to see what's wrong for myself before I make that call. I see. Emi, not allowed to run? Perish the thought. I don't know if she'd be able to function without running. No wonder she's reluctant to admit that anything's wrong. Well, I'll make sure that she sees you. Good. Oh, and before I forget. He grins at me again in what feels like a vaguely threatening manner. Don't forget, I know what medications you're on. You be careful around Emi, got it? Wow, he looks serious too. Got it. Don't hurt Emi, wouldn't dream of it. Grand. I'd hate for you to be late. Huh? Late as in the late Hisao Nakai. He frowns, briefly, dissatisfied. Sounded better in my head. Well, at any rate, get out of here before you miss your first class. You've got things to do, I'm sure. Shoo. As I leave, I notice the nurse pulling out his phone and dialing a number. Mako, your daughter's being a pain in the ass again. I better head back to my room or I really will be late. Hey, wasn't he supposed to check my heart rate? The lunch bell sounds, and I bring myself out of the stupor I slipped into during the morning classes. My lack of sleep last night, coupled with the increased pace of the morning's run, has left me a little exhausted. Despite that, I find myself skipping stairs up to the roof. There's a thrill of excitement now, in addition to the pleasure one gets from eating lunch with one's friends. True, both Emi and Rin are still my friends, but Emi has become more than that now. Rin is back in her usual spot on the roof, almost as if she'd never been absent. Why is she lying on it? Feeling better, I take it. A raised eyebrow is my reward for speaking. Better than what? Better than you felt yesterday? Rin gives my question some serious thought. I'm not sure. I think I might have felt rather good for some of yesterday, but it's all fuzzy. Too much cold medicine? Well, I was asleep, and that usually is pretty good. But I can't remember what it feels like to be asleep because I'm not conscious for it. It's a real problem. Then again, if I knew how good it felt, I might not sleep anymore. But this way I keep trying, so I guess that's how I can keep from being overtired. An eternal mystery to keep you sleeping at night? Maybe mystery's the wrong word. Intangibility might be the proper way to describe it. I see. No, I don't see at all. I have no idea what she's talking about, but that's okay since I rarely do. Do you remember what sleeping feels like? Like yesterday. Do you remember what you felt like sleeping yesterday? Well, I actually didn't get a lot of sleep yesterday. Maybe that's because you remember subconsciously. Actually, I think I was worrying about Emi. Doesn't Emi worry enough about herself? I hadn't considered that, but it gives me pause. True, but would she ask for help if she needed it? Rin frowns, and I raise an eyebrow. Will I get a proper answer? Probably not. Is there something she should be asking for help with? Her leg, for starters? This seems to catch Rin's interest. Leg? It's hurt, but she won't see the nurse about it. Rin shakes her head in disapproval. You have to make her. Like she makes me go to class for her own good. Otherwise she could lose her legs again, and that's just too weird. Losing things twice. Especially if you don't find them again to begin with. Unless prosthetics are the same as finding something. But that's a different kind of lost, isn't it? I think so? I wonder. Wonder what? Emi seems to have snuck up on Rin and me, though Rin doesn't seem especially surprised, which is itself unsurprising, I suppose. Rin manages to sit herself upright quite expertly, throwing her upper body forward and using her momentum to right herself. Your leg, how's it feel? That earns me a frown and a bit of a glare. It's okay, I think. Not worth worrying about. Tell that to the nurse. He's quite insistent that you visit him, you know. Emi pouts like I've just told her she's been grounded. He worries too much. It's not a big deal, just a little soreness. I try to resist rolling my eyes in exasperation. If it's nothing, then you should have no problem seeing him, right? Emi narrows her eyes suspiciously. Did he put you up to this? Well, maybe a little. But that's not the point. I would have reminded you to see him anyway. It would be terrible to see you really hurt and not doing anything about it. That would make it worse, and I don't really want to see you hurt, you know? Call me crazy, but I kind of would prefer to see you happy and healthy. With each statement, Emi's frown fades a little more until eventually she's grinning, albeit a little shyly. Well, if you're gonna put it that way, then I guess I will have to see him. Otherwise, you'll keep worrying, and then I'll never hear the end of it, right? That's right, I'll keep bugging you about it, and that might put a damper on our dates. How's the food, Hisao? Talk to the nurse, Emi. How was your day, Hisao? Talk to the nurse, Emi. Hisao, I think I'm ready to go all the way. Talk to the nurse, Emi. See, it doesn't work that well. Emi giggles at my high-pitched rendition of her own voice and gives me an affectionate shove. My voice isn't that high, jerk. I thought it was pretty accurate. Emi and I stare at Rin for a while before I burst into laughter. Emi crosses her arms and huffs, mock-offended. You're both jerks. Such vile calumnies from you, young woman. I'm stunned that you would call me, of all people, a jerk. Honestly, I just don't know what to think. Emi sticks her tongue out at me. You ass. So Rin, how's the art club these days? Rin, seemingly as surprised by this sudden change of topic as I am, takes a minute to think before answering. I believe it is okay. Although, Nabiya keeps telling me to work harder. but I don't think he understands my methods. He always struck me as slightly creepy. Rin ponders this statement for a while. I've never really noticed, but I don't pay much attention to him most days, so maybe that's why. How often do you meet? Thinking of joining, Hisao? What? Nah, I've already decided to join a club. Really? Which one? Well, it's not really much of a club, to be honest. Oh, you joined the tea club? No, I joined the science club, I think. Emi looks highly confused. We have a science club? Not really, it's just me. Hisao, that's not a club, that's just sitting in your room reading books. No, I mean, it's just me and Muto. I'm just the only student so far. Muto? Really? A thought strikes her. Oh, is that what you were talking about yesterday? Your meeting with Muto? Yeah, that was our first meeting, I guess. Emi giggles. Nerd. Hey, I can't help being clever. You know, I could have used your help years ago. You should have had your heart attack earlier in life, Hisao. I laugh and then I realize this is probably one of the very rare times I've laughed about my heart attack. Hindsight. Yeah. The ringing of the bell ends our conversation. Guess we'd better go. Yep, I guess so. Come on, Rin. You too. Rin has apparently begun to doze off, so Emi gives her a sharp bump. I almost had it. Sorry, but you need to go to class. I disagree, but maybe if I nap in class, I'll get it this time. Changing location is sometimes helpful for that kind of thing. Neither Emi or I bother asking what it is. As we arrive at my classroom, Emi gives me a quick kiss and heads down the hallway, Rin in tow. I turn to enter the classroom to be met by the duo of Shizune and Misha. Misha seems to be fighting a losing battle to keep from breaking into a fit of giggles while she translates Shizune's latest rant. While we are pleased, nay thrilled, to see how well you've managed to make new friends and forge relationships, and with such a cutie too, Ki-chan. I think that last part was probably Misha. We nevertheless feel compelled to politely remind you that public displays of affection are strictly forbidden. Really? That's disappointing, Shi-chan. By Section 8 of the Code of Conduct, laid out in the Student Handbook. In this case, however, ignorance of the law may be your excuse, as we are feeling lenient. And the paperwork required to punish the both of you would only add to the already mountainous volume of work which confronts us, the sole members of the Student Council. And besides, you two are adorable together. Therefore, consider this a formal warning, and please refrain from such displays in the future, at least when Shizune can see you, Hi-chan. This whole spiel is so patently ridiculous that I can't help but reply in the same pompous manner. Well, I for one feel enlightened. I apologize profusely for my rash actions and will strive to contain my baser impulses, which I fear impel me towards such inappropriate displays of public affection. It is hardly my wish to burden an already overworked student council with such petty matters, and will do my best to make your lives easier in this manner in the future. At least when Shizune is watching. This last line is delivered with a wink to Misha, who finally loses control of her laughter. What? Well said, Hi-chan. Chuckling a little myself, we enter the classroom.